welcome to the Free Cheese episode 528. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
Hey.
Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, our month of horror games continues with something a little more horror adjacent, Costume Quest 2. We'll talk about the game, its history, our history with it. But first, before we dive in, I want to know, Mark, what are you dressing up as for Halloween this year?
Ooh. I usually try to be better prepared for that and try to start it a month early because I like to do more homemade stuff. Didn't quite happen for me this time around, but I am leaning towards an easy one. So, I may or may not do Casey Jones.
Oh, that's solid.
I already have the mask, so...
Yeah, that fits well for this year, too. I feel like it's been a good Turtles year. I think that's, solid.
Yeah.
Matt, you have a costume lined up?
I thought I did, and then I didn't. Because Victoria's going back on our couples idea, so she picks it.
Wow.
So I don't know. We're still doing a couples thing for the one Halloween event we have. It's just the original idea is out the window, I believe.
So now you gotta start from scratch. What would you want to be?
Oh, I don't even know what I want
where
to
are you
be.
leaning towards now? Are you want to do
I like easy. I've always I've always been weird about makeup. I don't know. It's a whole thing. I'm not gonna get into it. But I've always hated makeup and stuff on my face. So easy's the best. But I like even just making the most out of the dumb shit that I wear every day. I will say one time a couple years ago, I was asked to go out on Halloween. I was at work and had nothing on besides actually an authentic on ice Capitals jacket. So I just decided I'm going to be the Capitals goaltending coach, Mitch Korn, and and no one will know. Walking around with jeans and a Capitals jacket.
Dressed up at all because you didn't.
Would you introduce yourself as Mitch?
Well, I really didn't talk to anyone that night.
Okay. But would you have?
But I probably wouldn't have thought of it. It would have been one of those things I should have did the next night, but I will keep that in mind for when necessary.
Mark,
but that's the kind of shit I like to do. Sorry.
Yeah, something clean and I was leaning into doing something a little more extravagant, and I was going to go Swamp Thing. I had a rough idea of what I was going to do it. And then the closer we're getting now, the more I'm thinking a Tony Soprano or just put a trash bag on and cover myself in garbage and just go as trash. Just something easy. And when I say go as, I'm just going to hang out and hand out candy in this. So really whatever I have.
Probably just paint your face green and get a ghillie suit.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, just do that and throw some actual live vegetation on me. I feel like that would have worked.
There you go.
What day is Halloween on this year?
It's a Monday, I think.
Oh, who's playing football? Monday Night Football.
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, damn, that sucks. All right. Well,
right, Christmas is a Monday this year.
So much for wearing a jersey on Monday and you say I'm that player.
Yeah. Well, we all have been dressing up in Costume Quest 2, developed by Double Fine Productions, published by Midnight City, which is a branch of the Majesco Entertainment Company. Released on PC, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and the Wii U. First released on October 7th, 2014. The back of the box, if there were one, would read something like this. Trick, treat, and pick a fight with villainous dental soldiers in Costume Quest 2, the sweet sequel to Double Fine's hit original, Costume Quest, that turned fans of all ages into candy-obsessed crusaders. This inspired RPG adventure includes a range of new features and gameplay improvements to double the amount of mischievous fun. Explore spooky, time-traversing landscapes, don adorable new costumes that transform into powerful Halo warriors, and collect even creepier treat cards to wield in combat against a legion of hygiene-obsessed baddies. only heroic siblings Ren and Reynold can save Halloween forever. Mark, you added Costume Quest to the list.
Sure
what
did.
inspired this?
So this is a game I've been meaning to play for a long time. I've had it forever. Yeah. I thought in the back of my mind, I was like, I'll save it because I've always toyed with the idea with streaming. So I thought I would save it for that, and then it never happened. So I was like, screw it. This is a better opportunity. So I played the first one a bunch. But yeah, I never hopped into this, and this was the perfect opportunity. So here we are.
Matt, had you played the first one or this one before?
No, I actually, this is my first time in the Costume Quest IP. I've heard good things about the first one. I kind of knew how they played, but I just never gotten around to playing it until, Mark put this on the list.
Yeah, I played the first one, and then this one, when it came out, I feel like I didn't know that it was Double Fine. In fact, until I was actively grabbing the developer information for this, I still did not realize it was Double Fine. Yeah. I thought it was something where they'd made the first one and then moved on to other things. Around this time would have been the Broken Age era of Double Fine. So I thought they just handed the reins of this over to someone else, but this was developed in house. Yeah, I remember playing the first one. I remember playing this one when it first came out, and in fact, they still had a save, a cloud save for this one. That sitting down to play it this time, I turned it on. And I was like, I don't remember any of this. Let me restart it. So I started back in the beginning. I think the back of the box kind of aptly sets up the stage of this. But Mark, having played the first one and then you just went through the DLC that kind of leads directly into this game, can you kind of give a recap of events that led to the story of Costume Quest 2?
Yeah, so basically in the first one, the main characters are Ren and Reynold. They're twins, and you kind of get to choose who you want to play as in the first one, and then the other one ends up getting captured by Grubbins, just these little goblins, whatever. And then your whole point of it is to go save your sibling. And then you make two friends along the way, and it's just a little simple RPG. Obviously, your costumes that look all homemade and whatever, once it goes into the battle, they become more fantasized and more extravagant, and then you have abilities based on that costume. So the whole mechanic is switching through all the costumes or whatever, get different abilities and see how that affects your party and whatnot. Once you beat the first game, you save your sibling. The DLC that's attached to the first one is just a quick little thing. You start to discover portals, different time rifts, dimensions, and whatnot. You go into that. You defeat the big baddie again from the first game. He's a fight again in the second one, just a little different. And then right from there, you think you're about to go home through another portal, but then you find it leads you to more portals, which is the menu screen of the second game.
Yeah, which the menu in this one, every time I booted it back up, threw me off. I was like, wait, how do I get back to the game? They're not labeled. You have to just kind of walk into the portals. It's
a little, I think this was around Double Fine's time where they just love having creative menu screens, because the first Psychonauts game, you have to run around on a brain.
Yeah.
It's all the different things. So it's I guess they're just trying to be as creative as possible.
I didn't hate it, but there's no actual title card, so you don't even know that you're there.
Yeah.
You just kind of are. It looks like a
start
loading
having to move.
Yeah.
I mean, when there's a title card when you first boot it up, and then
right, and then
then it throws you into it. But yeah, it is a thing that I wanted to skip. The more that I had to boot up the save.
Yeah, it threw me off, but it's been a bit since I've played Costume Quest 1, but so you have to remind, gameplay is exactly the same, right? Like not much has changed at all. No?
I mean, it's still turn-based combat, but the difference now is it was very simple in the first one. It was kind of QTE based, where like you would do your attack, and depending on the costume, you either had to like time this little notch that would hit like the good spot on like a bar as it moved from left to right to make sure your hit was successful, or you had to rotate your joystick to build up a meter, or you just had to hit whatever face button that would pop up to tell you to hit, and that was it.
Right.
And then as you did that, it would build up your little candy meter to do your special.
Right. Okay.
And then you could equip stamps to affect that specific character, to where like it could be you can increase your strength or increase your HP, or if an enemy hit you, you would counter back automatically. Like just weird stuff like that. Now it's more kind of Paper Mario based combat, where like if you have to like hit a face button when you're landing the hit to do more damage, or you have to time it to where if you're getting hit, you have to hit a button promptly to not take as much damage. So they're making it kind of more like that. And then they got rid of stamps entirely, so you don't equip stamps anymore. You just have these candy cards or whatever to affect the playing field, which I never used, but
yeah, but neither. I think I used one once, and I was like, why did I do this?
Yeah. But you still have a meter build up to do a special attack. So that's the difference with the combat. The other thing I noticed is that the first one was so simple that you never had to heal yourself between fights. You were just automatically back at full health after a fight was over. This one, you have to keep going to a fountain to heal yourself, or you could eat candy to heal yourself. So it did add a little bit more of a challenge, I guess. And there's also like enemy types, and depending on your costume, it would show you what you're good against and what you're weak against, which is a new thing.
Yeah, that
too.
was a good... it took me longer than it should have for me to realize that. But once you kind of realize that, I was like, oh, okay, before... Because most fights outside of like trick-or-treating, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're knocking on a door and you start an encounter that way, you can't really decide... or you don't get a preview of what you're about to fight.
Sure.
But if there's an enemy on the overworld that you're going to engage with, you can kind of swap your costumes around really quickly to min-max your damage output against one of these enemy types.
Which I kind of had an issue with. Because...
I never got good at it, but...
Well, so I like the costumes more in the first one. They just felt a little more... I mean, you have good options in this one, in the second one.
Yeah.
But in the first one, like... You could be a cat, you could be a jack-o'-lantern, you could be a vampire, you know, like you had, and they had really, a unicorn, they had really cool abilities. This one, not as many cool abilities in my opinion. And like, you still get some neat costumes, but yeah, it's just like, some of the special attacks and everything just wasn't the same. But when it came to the type advantage, because there's 3 monster types, or 3 enemy types. You have monster, you have like tech, and then you have magic. And there's only one costume in the second game that is good against tech. No other costume is good, and that's Jefferson. Like,
okay,
yeah. So you need Jefferson in your party pretty much if you want an advantage against tech. So I try to be well rounded. So I try to have one of each type in my party. So, and I don't care for Jefferson as a costume or as a character.
No, me neither.
But I had to.
Oh, I actually really loved it. I enjoyed his dumb power up of being
he has good attacks. I just, as a costume,
the costume, but I'm talking about like his overall power, just like negotiating or something stupid.
Oh yeah, like outside the fights. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other cool thing with these games is that like in outside of the battles, some of your costumes do have an effect that can play a part in the whole map. which is
there's like an
which is pretty neat.
overworld or like interactivity thing, and like for example, there's like piles of leaves in the overworld, and then if you have the pterodactyl costume, you can press circle to flap the wings and blow the leaves away. I forget what was the wizard has a lamp like a glow stick that you can light a tunnel with, right? Stuff like that. So you're telling me you didn't do an all candy corn run then?
I should have, now that I saw the achievement where you could have that in your party the whole time. I kept taking a bunch of screenshots because I loved every prompt that popped up. So like if you have whoever's a candy corn in your party, they're just straight up a candy corn. Like they don't fight, they don't do anything. Just a little prompt will pop up above their head that's just random captions like candy corn is thinking, or candy corn stands its ground. It's like it's just
there was like a lot. There was a lot of them.
But the new thing, you can upgrade your costumes. So I guess that makes up for having stamps as well. Is that you can buy little accessories to change the outfits a little bit and upgrade them. So that was cool. I do like that, and I think I upgraded every costume that I had. I think yeah.
Did you have a favorite costume in this game?
I think visually or like aesthetically, I liked the werewolf and the ghost.
And
I like the mummy when that's upgraded.
What changes when that's upgraded?
Becomes more Anubis looking or like cat looking.
Oh, okay.
So like you actually have like a little like you like have cat ears and like a snout and everything instead of just being fully wrapped up. Which fun little fact. I don't know if it's in every Double Fine game, but in most games that I've played, they always throw in this one little dance. And it's all like, and it's always like they move their like they sway their head left and right, and they have like one arm that's kind of bent like duck shaped, and they in that hand they move back and forth with their head. The mummy does that dance. Raz does it in Psychonauts, and in the beginning of what you just said the game earlier.
Broken Age.
Oh, it might be in Broken Age. Brutal Legend has it too. In the very beginning, there's a band that Jack Black's character doesn't like, that he's a roadie for. And the one idiot singer is like up on like a prop piece that he shouldn't be on, and he's doing that little dance across like that thing. They throw it in, and I noticed it, but I'm pretty sure the mummy does that dance.
I like that they have Double Fine's definitely one of a kind in terms of developers. I wish that more developers had like their own stamp in the Double Fine kind of way. Not many can pull it off, but they always have a. Anytime I've played a game, I've not always like loved every single game. I'm not like, but they're always. There's just something Double Fine about them.
Yeah, they have like a wholesome, very like tongue-in-cheek persona about them.
Yeah. Matt, how about you? Did you have a favorite costume playing through Costume Quest 2?
I liked using the wizard in battle because of the splash damage stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one.
As far as like aesthetic, though, I don't know. I also you said about the pumpkin mark, and you had me confused. That was a pre-order DLC bonus.
Was it? What, for the second game?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Shit.
I know. I was just saying, like, but I had Sackboy, and you didn't, so, joke's on you.
I wanted to ask about Sackboy.
So there's console-exclusive costumes?
It was only for PlayStation versions.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I had Sackboy in my party quite often, because his special did...
I gotta look this up.
It wasn't splash damage, but it was like you could attack all three, or up to... Every opponent was hit. But I didn't know if there were other platform exclusive costumes. I couldn't find anything on that anywhere.
Does not. Or no other platform exclusives.
Okay. Just Sackboy.
Just pre-order DLC.
Oh wow, you're just straight up just a Sackboy model when you're in the fight.
Yeah, in the overworld, it's like a cool little like
burlap sack kind of thing.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
the in fight, it's just Sackboy.
And the Jack-o'-lantern was a pre-order only, and they didn't just throw that into the PC one afterwards? Damn.
I know. Yeah, there were a couple. I think I forget which ones, but yeah, there were a handful that didn't make it over from the first game, but they were pre-order bonuses for this.
Yeah, like Jack-o'-lantern was like one of the best costumes in the first game.
I think it was all I ever used in the first game. I guess I had the robot also, but
to answer your question though, aesthetically, I didn't. I ended up not finishing this game. I was probably near the end, but not all the way there. But had I gotten the Teen Wolf costume, I think I would have been in love with that.
yeah.
Yeah, because at first it's just like he's just wearing a flannel,
Well,
and
yeah,
the upgrade
and
is the
upgrade
Teen Wolf,
Teen
like
Wolf.
the glasses and the jacket. Yeah, like he had an effect where if you landed your attack successfully, it would do damage over time. Kind of like being poisoned or
no.
burned. It would just have like scratches and like maybe I think they were itching or something like that. Like they had fleas.
The one thing I do like about this game a lot. Well, before we jump into that, let's talk about combat a bit, because that was the part for me that got tiring. Mark I set it up, in terms of like how this differs from the first one. But the one thing specific with this one, your attacks are, depending on your position, your character. Well, okay, this is me playing with a controller, so I don't know if this varies, but
I'll play with the controller too.
Your characters are in a line vertically.
Mm-hmm.
And from top to bottom, it's triangle, square, X. Or on an Xbox controller, it would be Y, X, A.
Yeah.
And you really can choose between a few options. You can run, you can choose your treat cards to play one of the cards, or you can do your standard attack. Once your meter's filled up, you can choose your special attack, and that just kind of runs on its own. There's a little, pre-made animation that runs out, and then that's that. Standard attack, you hit the button that corresponds with your character, so triangle, to select that attack. And then you're going to see like a little target meter that fills, and then there's like a closing target on that target that you press in time. And the closer you are to perfect, the better, kind of a bonus you'll get with attacking. You can upgrade that in time so that you get like a secondary attack. But I don't know. I don't know what would make it more compelling long term, but I felt like just kind of doing that over and over. I got tired of combat, and then I got to the point where I was actively avoiding combat just to progress through the story. Did you guys feel that? Find that? Am I being too critical of it?
Yes, and I think it slowed the game down and thus made the trick-or-treating parts very tedious. And then, well, I mean, it's kind of the repetitive gameplay loop are the trick-or-treating sections. But I think that was my big thing. When you play, not every RPG does this, but most. Usually, like the more simple battles are quick. It's like, if you're leveled up enough and you have the right abilities, you kind of know what you're doing. It's kind of like one round of your attacks, not even sometimes, and you're in and out. Every battle consistent of multiple rounds just to maybe even get rid of one of the potential three.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I think that was my main issues. Like, it got to the point where sometimes there's these like little snails in front of like treasure chests or whatever. And I don't know, they act like mini bosses, but they act like bigger threats than your average enemy you might run into in that area. But I felt like I took them down faster with them having 700 health as opposed to like the three mob guys having 600, because they were each split around 200, and the way your damage was done, it sometimes sometimes took more than one round to get rid of someone. I think that was this game's biggest problem, is just these regular battles are way too long and are tiring.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it, but that is exactly, yes.
So I agree. The first game, I guess they were afraid of being too simple and they wanted to build on it. But
Yeah.
I liked in the first one. I think they shot themselves in the foot by removing the stamps. I think that they should have kept that in. I don't.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't make sense in a Halloween setting to have stamps to begin with. But I still liked that ability where like you could equip something where you could have a chance to scare an enemy away. They would just flee from the fight. One less thing to worry about. You could have another person have a stamp that does splash damage, no matter what character you are.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
also, depending on your costume, some abilities already had splash damage involved. So you could kind of strategize that to where more than one person could do splash damage, kill enemies quicker. But if you had the Black Cat costume, your ability itself was already to scare someone away. You would do this big thunderous roar, and you have a good guarantee of scaring someone away. So if you had that with the stamp on top of that, you could scare 2/3 of the party away if it's a full 3-person crowd that you're fighting, and you could get through stuff quicker that way. And just like the fact that there wasn't really an option like that in this one with any of it did feel like every fight had to be longer than what it should have been for sure. I felt that. I didn't skip them, but I felt it.
I think the cards might have been cool in like a stamp kind of way, but I feel like earning the cards should have been a little, I don't know, like if you got them while trick-or-treating, or if there were like the side quests weren't bad. Like I think it's in terms of side quests in this game, like, you know, every kind of map or area you go to, there's typically going to be like a hide and seek kind of thing where there's, you know, 5 or 6 kids hiding around the neighborhood. You have to go find where they are. And some of the places they were hiding, it was like tricky to get to, and they were cleverly displaced. I thought that was neat, but I feel like having different rewards for like the trick or treating might have been something to change it up.
I also like with the cards. I think one way to get you to use them all, again, if you shorten the battles, because I felt like every attack mattered. I don't want like this is already. I guess. Oh, I'm losing track of my timeline. What came first, the Stick of Truth or this costume quest?
This costume quest.
So like the Stick of Truth kind of took this battle. I mean, it's essentially the same exact battle system. It even has like your stamps from the first game in South Park that have like different attributes and buffs and stuff like that. But like the thing that you could do in South Park was you can use an item and still be able to attack with the same character. I feel like if they let me use those cards and still let me attack, I would have used them so much more.
If I could have done that every turn, because you had to burn an attack turn to use a card.
Yeah, and that was like it wasn't like you had your entire library at your disposal all the times too. You had to bring in the 3 you brought in, so it wasn't like it was like everything was at your disposal. You still had to be strategic what you brought in. I think that is another like, you could have done something just a tiny bit just to make the battle. I'm not saying make every battle like short, but like just the mob overworld ones, like
especially the ones with the teeth soldiers, because they would respawn.
Yeah.
And that was never a thing. Enemies didn't respawn in the first one, so I guess they wanted you to have a chance to grind if you needed to. Which who wants to do that? And to correct myself, Stick of Truth came out in March of 2014. This came out Halloween 2014.
Oh, while I was seeing, okay, I didn't realize.
But I mean, the original costume quest would have been 2010, right? So there's that. But yeah, I think Stick of Truth. I think this is a good comparison to that because they're both RPGs, but they're both more on the short side, right? Like, I think Stick of Truth is like 9-10 hours. This is like 6.
Yeah.
I think that's an apt comparison. I think another thing that could have changed or helped the RPG or like kind of the active combat, if you wanted to do a timing based thing, have a better emphasis on music, and then just steal the Mother 3 rhythm based thing where Mother 3 you would choose your attack, which that was something too. Every character only had one attack, which is fine, But if they had like different types of attacks, even if you just added a second one, that could have added a different. Then you're. This is me just fully ripping off the Mother 3 thing, but like in that, you would choose your attack, and then you would, as the character swung the attack, you would continue to press the button in rhythm with the beat of the song, and it would do consecutive hits. And I feel like in a game like this, if you want to have kind of weaker hits against the enemies that take longer to defeat, having something that lets you get, and you do get that thing where you can get successive hits, but it's just still not enough to really like lean into it. And I feel like that could have helped.
Yeah, and everyone's attack was like essentially the same. It wasn't like, again, I don't want to make the same Stick of Truth reference again, but there was weapons in Stick of Truth where it was like bop 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 or bop bop bop.
Yeah,
there was like different depending on your class. And this, it's always just kind of like that.
2 hits.
Wait for the target, and then it shrinks, and then when you learn the follow up, like time your follow up, bang, and again, it's a fine system. There's nothing wrong with it. I just think some battles just took a little too long, and once those started taking long, and it's like I don't want to do that, and you're doing this for every door you're going to during the trick or treating thing. And you're like, oh boy, I got to do another one of these sections again, and it just by like the midway point, you're starting to think about all like the here we go again kind of thing, and it's not necessarily what I want. But I think this game, again, this is me trying to marathon it probably before. I should have, if I planned better, I could have taken this in bursts, but I think if you do like each section in a playthrough and then come back to it like the next day or 2 days later or something like that, I think that's the ideal way of playing this, even though it is already that short. I think this is like hey, spend an hour or two, a week or every couple days throughout October and enjoy it that way.
Because I do really like the overall appearance of like the overworld. I think the art style in this is really great. I think
I like the story. I think the story's kind of cool with them going back and forth with Oral. Yeah, I think the story's cool. I like just exploring the neighborhoods and just seeing what's there. Also, the neighborhood itself, Auburn Pines, reminds me a lot of the suburbs level in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which is always kind of this like October-y feel to it. I don't know. I really like that. I guess the two big questions I have remaining. Are there any other games that involve trick-or-treating that you can think of? I was trying to think of that while playing. I was like, what other game have I been asked to go to the door and knock? And it's like is it bad or good kind of situation. I was struggling to think of one.
Not one as a focal point either. Or like, I can't even think of one as like a side quest or like a mini game or something. Like,
I mean, if this you want to count this, you can go to various windows and doors in Yarnum and Bloodborne, and everyone would tell you about getting off the streets. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know. That's because they're trick or treating, but you are going to people's houses in desolate times.
Yeah, but I couldn't think of another.
Nah, I could not.
And I think it's a novel idea for a video game.
Yeah, especially in, like, I like that they kept it in this one. And I feel like there was, like, a weird trade-off when it came to this game. It's like, they did a lot of gameplay improvements in this one, and it runs at 60 frames. As another thing. Because the first one is not. I think it's like a 30-frame game or something that. And in the first game, only the robot had the roller skates to zip around. So you had to wear that costume to constantly zip around. Now it's a staple where like anybody can do it. So that's a nice improvement.
Oh yeah, I assumed everyone had wheelies.
Right, yeah, now they do. But before, it was only the robot that could do it. So somebody in your party always had to be a robot. And then you had to remember to switch off of it if you didn't want it in your party when it came to a fight. But I got so one-track mind, I was like, crap, I had to switch. But the robot was a fine costume. It's never a bad choice. But the first one has more of a charm to it. it feels more Halloweeny
It did
to say, and
I think it's because of the like dystopian future thing with this.
Yeah, like the whole time travel thing is a little bizarre, but I guess it was bound to happen with a story like that. But yeah, like Auburn Pines in the first one, it was bigger to explore as well. You know, like you had to unlock the different streets as you progressed or whatever, and it felt like a centerpiece kind of everything. And then you go to the mall, and then you go to like a carnival farm area, and then you go to like a graveyard type thing. Like everything felt like true Halloween. To that season. And then it's kind of hard, like where do you go after that? And I feel like they just kind of ran out at that point when it came to the second one.
Yeah, if you weren't going to do a direct sequel with those same characters, you just do new characters, new costumes in a different neighborhood, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I would argue that the lack of Halloween actually plays into the story, though. Like, you feel like you're playing, like, I feel like I'm actually in Halloween in the bayou and I'm actually trick-or-treating, but then, you get to the future and
it's banned. Yeah,
it's banned. Like, it's like, it... Yeah. And, like, you're like, trick-or-treating in secret and stuff like that. Like, I think...
And
I'm not mad that the dystopian future kind of gets away from Halloween because it's supposed to. I think.
Yeah, but it is just I guess it overstayed its welcome for me. It just like it was just a little jarring
for sure. Yeah,
but towards the end, it does kind of pay off because you learn that like the dentist actually has like a secret like appreciation for trick or treating, that like he built a little fake town to go in for himself, and there's like robots at the door behind these cardboard houses or wooden houses, like they're just like movie props, they look like, and they just give you candy. None of them are actually fights, even though they make you do the whole thing of knocking on the door, and it's like the tension building up. Is it going to be a fight? No, it never is. But and there was fun little Easter eggs in that little fake town because it had all the first costumes from the first game as standees. And then they threw in some Double Fine characters near the end. You had Broken Age character. You had Raz from Psychonauts. Oddly, you had Bee and Puppy Cat. Is anyone familiar with that series?
Yeah.
That's not Double Fine, but that's just thrown in there, like, in the background. But that's just thought it was interesting. And they actually had the noises if you talked to them, because each standee would say something, had, like, dialogue, because they had speakers built into them.
Oh, yeah.
Puppy Cat actually made the sounds like the way that it actually talks in the show.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I wonder if I'd have to look, but they did a Costume Quest animated series, right?
Yeah, I watched
and
that.
I wonder
it's on
if,
Amazon.
Who's the creator of Bee and Puppy Cat? Natasha.
Oh, you might think could be related.
I feel like there's a lot of Natasha Allegri, and I feel like there's a lot of crossover between like.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a because I thought Bee and Puppy Cat was the same studio who did like not Adventure Time, but same art style, but it was like I forgot who they were. It's just like a group of kids. There were some kind of warriors.
Oh, Bravest Warriors?
Bravest Warriors. Because what's that freaking company? It's like they have like a robot as their logo. Not Bad Robot.
Frederator.
Frederator. I thought Bee and Puppy Cat was a Frederator joint, but
it is.
But I don't think Costume Quest the series is.
I don't think. No, I think you're right. Yeah, Frederator also did the Castlevania series.
Hmm.
But there's definitely like I feel like very similar circles.
Yeah. No, they definitely share like a similar vibe and energy about them.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
But yeah, the first one felt more charming to me in the essence of Halloween. But it makes sense that this one doesn't. But I think, the lack of charm did go away, I guess, for the sake of the story. But it makes up for the gameplay because there is like quality improvements.
Yeah,
for sure. Like it has good polish.
I do think like the one thing I noticed in the Bayou in terms of like There was the first time I noticed it where like things made sense. The kind of like things that feel like side quests, but they end up they're just part of the main quest. Like I felt like it was very well done. Like I naturally just kind of knew what to do next, but I still felt like rewarded that I figured it out. Specifically, this was you talk to the street performers, and they're like, I wish we could get a crowd. And then like I just kind of knew, let me go find people. You kind of blast the horn at people to bring them over to attract it, and then once you get that done, you can go play with the band on the inside like that. Did you get the achievement for honking the horn 1,000 times?
Oh no, I saw that was a thing after the fact. I was like, I should have, but like the fact that you just spam a clown horn, everyone's like, you're a great musician.
That's like... all I did. I was playing on remote play with the Backbone, and the button on the Backbone, the actual physical buttons, they're very clicky. So doing it over and over again, I was like, this sucks. Like I hated it, but like I just did the touchscreen circle button for the PlayStation and just like rapidly firing on the touchscreen until I saw the trophy pop in the corner. I was like, all right, perfect. But yeah, just clown horn 1,000 times in a row. Perfect. Do we want a Costume Quest 3?
I think there's improvements to be made. I sounded down on the game, but it was really just the overall battle system. I think everything else around it, I think is cute and charming. I'm sure there's all kinds of ways you can have Halloween in trouble or a town in trouble or whatever. Yeah. And you can always get creative with costumes, or just kind of, I think you're allowed to bring in your other costumes from your other games if need be, with some new ones if you run out of ideas.
Double Fine's a Microsoft studio now, so you can bring in the Master Chief, you can dress up as Cortana.
You could ask Bing AI for costume ideas as well.
Yeah, dude, you could be a solitaire card. All sorts of things. Yeah.
Oh, you could probably be Space Cadet.
See? Now you're thinking. Cool. Now you're using your noggin.
I would definitely do another one of these. I think just some small improvements. Doesn't have to be the things I said. They want to change the whole system up, but make it. If you're going to play casually, just make it casual. Like because none of those. That's the other point I was trying to make with that. Like none of those fights ever felt threatened. It was just they took long. If I was feeling threatened all the time, sure, but this isn't the game that's going to push the difficulty needle.
Right.
Especially not when you can pop 25 candy after earning 150 candy and be fine. Make it a casual experience. That's all.
I could see it where Ren and Reynolds are grown up now. It's a better timeline. Maybe they have kids, or maybe they go trick-or-treating with their own kids or something like that. I think there's more room for comedic writing in it too, where maybe you have kids of different ages in your group, and maybe that affects the imagination of your costumes, or having an adult in your party just kind of ruin everything. Maybe you fight other kids who are in costumes instead of just
that part. I don't know why that never happened.
Yeah, because in the first game you had a group of dickheads that were all mummies, and they would block off roads, right, unless you gave them a percentage of your candy or something like that. You should have been able to fight them.
Oh, that'd be an interesting wrinkle to the battle system if they want to do a 4-player party or 4-character party with 2 adults and 2 kids, and the adults have special abilities.
Or if not an adult, at least an older teenager who just shoves a kid and you win the whole fight because they cried or something. Yeah. There's a lot of room for potential. If they don't have to go Psychonauts 2 about it.
Yeah, no.
But I think between how long it's been since now, it's been almost a decade since that game. So
and they already played with it. I mean, what are the characters' names? Everett and
Lucy.
Yeah. I mean, they were already adult. You already saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of potential.
Yeah. My final question: which childhood Halloween costume did you have that would grant you the greatest RPG powers today?
Man. Well, probably not the one that when I was a toddler, because I was a cowboy.
I feel like the White Ranger probably would be a good one.
Oh, I had the Gold Ranger, and I had a Wolverine costume.
That's pretty good.
But I don't want to rely on superheroes, so I'll go to a different property.
I was Darth Maul one year. I feel pretty good with some Jedi powers.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been a nice
There
one.
was, I guess this one's a little sentimental in a way. There was a year where like we weren't allowed to go trick or treating. I think there was like a scare that was kind of going around, and
Oh yeah.
and my mom was really affected by that. So like
Today they call that 2023.
right. But we had to stay in the basement and turn all the lights off upstairs, and like so we just wouldn't get anyone coming to our door or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it kind of it bummed me out. I don't know if it was that year or the following year where like we finally convinced my mom to like go trick or treating, and we didn't really have any costumes. So like me and my brother, one of my brothers, like last minute, we just like found whatever we could, and we were the Men in Black.
Oh, that's good.
So we just found like any like black clothing we could get, and we just wrapped like cardboard stuff in like tin foil and just in sunglasses and just walked around. So
Bring any
Yeah, that's
sick
pretty
pens with you?
Yeah.
I had, I think at that point the Burger King or McDonald's toys were a thing based
Oh,
off of the
good.
off of the animated series, and you had that little mind eraser thing as a toy. So I think I had that with me. So yeah, I think that one, just because of the technology behind what the Men in Black have, that might be my most powerful.
I remember one year I was like 7 or 8. It was like second or third grade. I was a hockey player from hell, and I got yelled at by every parent that I told that I was from hell. They did not like that. Don't you mean from heck? No, I mean from hell.
Yeah, this is an Earthworm
Eat it.
Jim.
But yeah, I remember having like I don't think I actually got a goalie mask. Like I think I wanted that, but I think I just painted my face all scarry and bloody and crap. And then I pulled a mat and basically just like wore winter clothes. Like I remember having a fleece half zip and whatever, but I had all the makeup over my face, and then I carried my hockey stick and just rollerbladed around the whole night, which, you know, don't
Nice.
tell my later skateboarding self that I had rollerblades at that time, but that was a good one. I feel like that'd translate well to a costume quest RPG fight.
I mean, I definitely
I don't
had a
remember
cowboy.
anything else that would have.
I had a
You know
cowboy-
what? Ghostface was probably that'd probably be a fun one in a costume.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a ghost face one year too.
Yeah, I think we all definitely had that costume at one point in our lives.
Here's the real question about the Ghostface costume: can you all still smell the inside of that mask?
No.
Or
Oh,
better
like,
yet, can you still
wait.
taste it?
I was gonna say pre or post sweat.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that one was especially wet on the inside.
Yeah, it was very moist.
Yeah.
I did have a cowboy costume later in my teens. I had like a brown duster and like a fake stubble, and I had like a wig because my hair wasn't grown out yet. But so I looked like almost like a serious cowboy, but with a toy gun with the orange tip, and I had on purpose the horse head on a stick. And that, you know, if you pressed in its ear, it made little galloping and neigh noises. So, serious cowboy, funny horse. I imagine just shooting enemies in a game would be pretty fun. So
That
yeah,
would be, yeah.
I guess I'm back to having guns in my costumes.
See, but like in that one, you could do a cool combo with you and the horse, right? Like there's different inputs to do multi-attack or something like that. That'd be good.
Hind kicking them.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully Double Fine's cracking up a third iteration of Costume Quest, but until then, all we can do with it is rank it on the list. Listeners, head over to thefreecheese.com/the list, where you can look at all 79, soon to be 79 games on the list so far. Where are we feeling Costume Quest 2 fits?
I think I have a very weird spot,
Yeah, hit us.
but I didn't put thought into it. So I guess this is my infamous instinct answer versus what it could be later after thinking about it. I guess it would be the new 42 between Windjammers 2 and Bomberman 93. But I don't feel right putting it above Snatcher. So
That was gonna be my first thing, but I don't think I would mind going either right below Snatcher or I don't know. Joe feels about Proteus being below it, but I don't. I kind of like Amplitude a little bit better, but I don't know.
No, let's do, because my gut was originally. See, man, we always say the list is stupid and we have no semblance or any idea of what, but we all land in the exact same spot. My gut for this one was right around that Shin-Chan area at 46. But then I'm like, I don't know. I think I like Shin-Chan over this. Then I'm looking at like Toe Jam. I like Toe Jam over this, but no, I think right below Snatcher is a perfect spot for it.
I'm also okay with it being below Amplitude because I do like Amplitude.
Yeah, I like Amplitude as
I'm
well,
fine either
but
way.
But I like this
Nah.
over Parodius.
I do too. Nah, put under Snatcher.
All right.
Okay.
The new 44. Costume Quest 2.
No, we have similar instincts. I was at Star Fox Assault and working my way up, so at 50.
There you have it. Listeners, be sure to tune in next week for episode 529 as we bring our Halloween month to a close and bring you Luigi's Mansion. Until then, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. See you next week.